Shalom Israel, Shalom, Shalom. Brother Naquam, watchman for Israel, coming back at you with these precepts and another cold cut to give it, of course, all honor and all glory to Yahweh, Bashima Mashiach, Malaki Bashai, double honors to the elect elders of the house of David, that's been in this truth for decades and decades, patiently waiting for the second coming of Mashiach, Malaki Bashai. A hearty, mighty Shalom to all of the mighty men of the Most High God who are out there in the highways and byways, pushing this truth, magnifying the ministry, presenting their bodies as a living sacrifice, and enduring all things for the elect's sake. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the men that may not be out there in the highways and byways as of yet, but they're working on it. They're getting built up in the spirit. They're praying, they're fasting, they're studying, they're being diligent and abounding in the work of the Lord. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the Aquath out there, the sincere sisters out there, holding it down in the household, to reverencing their husbands, being submissive and diligent, and moving in the spirit of our righteous foremother. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to the ancient men, the children, and everybody tuning in live. Yvette McKellar, Quadash Zion, WFI Shalom King, Don Israel, L. D-Bash Branch, T. Sellers, Brother Azariah Shalom King, Renee A. Yaziah Yashar Shalom King, Yashab Rael, Rest Ben Craft, Nigel Blends, DP Joshua Brewer Shalom King, Benjamina Israel, Ephraimite Ak, and everybody else tuning in, and that will tune in, Lord willing. The topic of this code, because something big is about to happen soon in America, right? Something big is about to happen soon in America, which the Most High has labeled Babylon the Great, right? And we're going to dive into what's about to happen big and soon here in Babylon the Great, right? Yahweh Bashmi Shai has commanded us to declare unto our people the words of prophecy, for they are faithful and true, right? So let's go to the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 15. It's our job through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashmi Shai to speak on the impending judgments, right, and destruction that the Most High has coming to the earth, right? We're going to dive into what's coming to Babylon the Great. And you can already see it playing out now. You can see the stage is being set. The way that these elites have these different operations going on these college campuses, I believe Portland State, UCLA, and these other campuses, Columbia, some of these Ivy League schools and other parts throughout the world, we can see how the stage and the chess pieces are being moved, right? This is and when you play chess, there's something called end game. The end game is how you close out, how you finish, right? When your enemy's back is against the wall. When you play chess, you build up for your end game, right? You don't just play chess, just willy-nilly, man. It takes strategy, it takes planning, methodology. You're moving 10 steps ahead. So these elites, if you don't know what's going on, they're in their end game. And the masses of the people are about to get checkmated, man. And when you're checkmated, there's no way out for your king. You go this way, you're in check. You go that way, you're in check. You go that way. Every way is death for the king. And that's how I was looking for the masses of people, man. These devils are setting these things up. And we're going to touch on what I'm going into and what's actually going on in the earth. But first, I want to read 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and 1. Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith Yahweh, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. So we have to go directly to the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American man and warn them that Yahweh Bashmi Shah, who's the God of our fathers, is about to turn this place upside down. That Jacob's trouble is on the rise. The famine of the word is on the rise. They're passing legislation and laws to try to stop the truth from being put out there, right? So I'm going to use a lot of code words, a lot of hip talk, due to how these devils and their algorithm and things of that nature. But there's a lot going on behind the scenes. So we have to speak to the Israelites and let them know the prophecies and what the Most High has said about what you see going on in the earth, right? It reads, fear not the imaginations against thee. Let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee. For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. And if people have imaginations against us, man, they're plotting and planning to attack and defame the ministry, to tie in the Hebrew Israelites, with a lot of these, so with a lot of these anti-Amalek, that's what we'll call it, anti-Amalek laws, man. If you don't know who Amalek is, it's the so-called what they call the small hats, man. You know. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to paint this picture. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, we're going to go into it. That's why it's important to watch. They're trying to set up ground rules and create chaos. They call it order out of chaos, to create the chaos with all of this anti-Amalek riots on these college campuses so they can enforce these laws that ultimately target who? The ministry. So they have imaginations against us. They have plots and plans. The Lord said, but don't let that trouble you, man. It's expected, right? It says, let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee, for all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. Let's go to the book of, right? Let's go to Isaiah chapter 10 and verse 1, right? Isaiah chapter 10 and 1. Actually, before we go to Isaiah 10 and 1, this was what's going on the earth, right? If you're watching, right now, these are riots on every major so-called college campus. Now, what these devils do, if you are an average American and you have no idea what's going on, you literally think that these riots are self-induced by the masses of the public, that they have great intentions for the Palestinians and they don't like the genocide and what's going on the earth. A lot of this is planned. You got agents, you got covert operations, you got intel. All of these things to happen at the exact same time smells fishy, suspicious. It's odd. And we can see, being prudent, what these devils are up to, man. Right? Now you can say, well, that's a conspiracy theory. You're making that up. You can't prove it. Well, we have their track record speaks for themselves. Right? They're known for false flags. They're known for counterintelligence operations, secret covert missions, undercover operations. This Proverbs 22 and 3. A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. And a lot of people are just going to pass on and get punished, man, because you don't listen. You don't listen to Yahweh Bashmi Yahushua. You don't take instruction to the word to the Lord, man. You're going to pass on, not repent, not come back to the Most High, and you're going to get caught up in this madness, man. And the world is on edge between Amalek and the so-called Palestinians. And if you come up against Amalek in any shape or fashion, they're passing laws and legislation to arrest, detain, punish, capture, kill in time to come those who speak up against Amalek. And a lot of Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you're going to be caught out there because you're worried about the wrong damn thing, man. And the Lord said, my people are foolish. They have not known me. They're Sodom's children. They have no understanding. They are wise to do evil, but to do good, they have no knowledge. So they're going to pass on and be destroyed. But the prudent man, the circumspect man, the man with discernment, he can foresee the evil going on in the earth. He sees the chess pieces moving. He's going to hide his king. He's going to hide himself, man, under the shadow of Yahweh Bashmi Yahushua. Right? So you have to be aware. Right? It tells you that in Ecclesiasticus, the 4th chapter. You don't want to be a sitting duck, right? And not know what's going on in the earth, right? And there's a lot we want to get into today. This is Ecclesiasticus, chapter 4 and verse 20. So again, something big is coming to America soon, man. Right? Something big is coming to America soon. It's already brewing up. You know? It's already cooking in the pot, man. You turn the pot on low. Hey, this isn't flash fried judgment. You know? This isn't instant coffee or instant cocoa. And you got to stir this thing up slow, man. And that's what these elites are doing. There's I believe a famous analogy about the boiling frog, right? You put the frog in the hot water. If you put him in hot water instantly, he's going to jump out. But if you put him in that water and you turn it up little by little, he doesn't even know he's being cooked to death, man. And that's what these elites are doing to the masses and the sheeple. They're in the hot water, and that water being turned up, and they don't even know what the hell is going on. So here's what the Most High said about circumspection. Ecclesiasticus chapter 4:20. Observe the opportunity, and beware of evil, and be not ashamed when it concerneth thy soul. And this concerns our soul. We're looking at how this is going to affect us putting the word of the Most High out there. How they're going to try to give the ministry an ill name, to hinder this truth, to stop us from reading the scriptures, man, publicly, and proclaiming the name of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai out in the open. So this concerns our soul. So we're looking into these bills. We're looking into the legislation. We're watching what's going on the earth, and we're looking at how we're going to move. You know, it reads, "For there is a shame that bringeth sin, and there is a shame which is glory and grace." So you can have a shame that brings sin. What's a shame that brings sin? When you are too modest to the point where you get overthrown, right? Somebody that has they're completely naive, and anybody can tell them anything and they believe it. Anybody can run all over them. They have no idea what's going on. It's going to bring about sin. Like Adam and his woman. They were naked, but it says, and not ashamed. So they were naive to evil, but it brought forth sin. And there's a shame, which is glory and grace. And you want to have the shame that's glory and grace. We don't put yourself in a situation where you fall. Like a woman that's shamefaced, that's glory and grace. She's not going to put herself into an adulterous temptation. She's not going to find herself in the arms of another man. She's shamefaced. She knows that evil may come and temptation may come if she does such things. So we, as the bride of the Lord, we have to be shamefaced, man. Right? And we have to be aware of the evil because it concerns our lives. All of these laws they're passing, all these riots, you should be watching and knowing, hey, look, this is coming to us, right? Especially you men out there in the highways and byways. This may shift everything on how you teach, what words you can say, what words you can't say, how it's recorded. Hey, they'll send this to your job, you know? They'll put you out there publicly. Verse 22, accept no person against thy soul, and let not the reverence of any man cause thee to fall. So you want to be aware of evil on the earth. That's why Ephesians, right? What does it say in Ephesians chapter 5? Ephesians chapter 5 and 15. See then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. Right? So you have to walk circumspectly. Circum meaning around, spect meaning to see, like a spectator or a spectacle, right? So you want to look around you spiritually and physically, man. Don't be you caught up in sports, you caught up in madness. You know, people caught up in this this beef I keep hearing about with these rappers. You're caught up in sports and the draft, and they're passing laws and bills behind your back. So all of this stuff is a distraction. They dropping diss tracks and madness, and at the exact same hour, they're signing bills off, but the people don't know what's going on. They're not circumspect, man. They're waiting to see who's going to go to the next round in the finals, or who's going to hit the number one, hit the damn game-winning shot. So they would be fools, man. The Lord said, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. So you need to redeem all your time. You need to really examine how much time you're putting out there to particular things, man. If you're spending 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and you picked up an extra hobby and you want to learn how to fly a kite, you need to then bring that time back and take them 15, 20 minutes and invest it into this truth, man. If you got 15, 30 minutes, you like to be idle and just scroll on your phone, you need that time back to pray, to examine yourself. You need to really look where you're spending your money at. What's the famous saying in the world? Time is money. Look at where you're spending your money at. Reallocate your funds into the proper investment that's going to benefit you in the long haul, man. People do that in the world. They analyze the stocks and the bonds, and I'm losing too much money on this stock. So they'll take their money out of that stock and they'll put it into this stock. You have to take your time out of folly and vanity and things that aren't important and invest it into Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Why? Because the days are evil. All hell is going to break loose, man. Right? So let's go into what's going on the earth. Right? Let me pull this up. What is going on the earth? Now, hold on. Let me get the sound. Now, this is actually, this is what I want first. Violent clashes break out at UCLA pro-Palestinian encampment. So if you've been watching, you've been seeing, get this advertisement out the way, that all hell has been breaking loose in Babylon the Great. Now, at one time, you would only see this. Hold on, let me pull this back up. At one time, you would only see this in foreign countries. You never would have thought that this would come to America. You never thought that the land of democracy, that the land of free speech, the land of right to bear arms, you know, the most democratic king on the earth, that they would have third world events happening. So Babylon the Great is finished, man. You have people in Babylon the Great rioting pro-Palestinian. Now, again, a lot of this is government psyop, covert operations, undercover agents going to campuses, being given a green light from their superiors to overthrow and cause, what's the word I'm looking for? A sedition. You know, these are tactics that the CIA does. They'll go to other countries and they'll do it. They'll go to damn Nigeria, Brazil, and they'll send 5 guys over there. And there 3 months, it's a riot. It's a coup, and they want to overthrow the government. They send people over there. They call them political assassins to overthrow other countries and set up puppet kings and puppet rulers. So you don't think they know how to do it amongst their own people? It's easy for you sheeple. You know, because you don't know what's going on. So they can pull a wool over your eyes. So let's play this. But we see right through this, man. Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Now, this is violent clashes break out at UCLA pro-Palestinian encampment. Right, so we're going to play. It's only a minute, 20 seconds, but we got a lot more we're going to get into. We're going to go into that bill that they passed, that anti-Amalek law. Right? Yeah. You wouldn't have thought that this was America, man. You would have thought this was somewhere in Europe, you know, the Netherlands, Germany, back when they was riding during the time of the pestilence, somewhere in Australia. It's in your backyard, man. This is in the land of the free, home of the brave. You know, American Pie and baseball. You know, home run derby and all types of damn fireworks, man. And a national anthem. You have seditions and riots in Babylon the Great. So I'm going to play this straight through. A lot of these guys out there are on secret missions, right? Their job is to go to these college campuses, stir up sedition, cause confusion, you know, report back how the people are responding. Are the people giving the reaction that the masses want, right? Are things working on behalf of the elites? Are people really buying into this? So their job is to really go down there, like we keep saying, and stir up spirits, man. That's their job, you know? So let's go back to play this. And then once they're done their mission, they might be out there for 2 months, 3 months, a few weeks. Then they'll go leave. You never see them again. And they go back to their office and they debrief about what happened. They pull the statistics up, right? Any injuries or how the people responded. They debrief, right? Then they go home to get their mind right for 2 weeks. Then they back in office, ready for the next mission, right? I'm just assuming that's how it goes, man. Right? See, if you didn't know that America was finished, I mean, what more do you want to? What else do you have to see? You're seeing bridges fall apart. The roads are done. You have nothing but freaks and transformers and sodomites. The economy is in trillions of dollars in debt. The military is a shadow of its former self. The economy is going down the drain. Banks are closing by the day. You have over almost 1,500 stores closing. Everywhere I'm driving, we're closing. Closing soon. Get everything while you can. Everything's shutting down. I mean, what else do you have to see? The Lord said the days are evil. So it says protests against the Israel-Hamas war have spread at colleges across the country. And that was a tactic. This is a tactic that they did. What better spot to go and plan riots and seditions than a college? The people are drunk. They don't know what's going on. They got that team spirit, the spirit of folly, fornication, lewdness, party and madness. Conformity is heavy in college. People go to college and conform to the masses. They follow the crowd. It's all types of madness in these colleges. So what better spot to go to and establish a riot and madness than major PWIs and colleges throughout the country? They're going to buying anything. They're fickle people. You give them, like they say, you give them bread. What they say, bread and circus, man, like ancient Rome. So that's one event going on. Let's pull up the other one. Right? Let's pull up the other one. So they have no idea what's going on, man. These people, they have absolutely no idea. Now, there's something else I wanted to pull up through the spirit and power of Yahweh Basham Rashad. Let me get this precept first. Right? Let's go to the book of Habakkuk. Actually, yeah, let's go to Habakkuk, the second chapter. I want to get a quick precept before I move on to the next one. Right? This is Habakkuk. All right, bear with me. The second chapter and verse 16. Habakkuk chapter 2 and 16. Thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of Yahweh's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. And right now you're witnessing the shameful spewing that's on the glory of Babylon the Great, as if somebody spewed something up or threw up or vomited upon the garment that the great whore wears. Now, when you read Revelation chapter 17, what is the glory of this whore? Right? Let's go to Revelation chapter 17. Quick precept. Revelation chapter 17 and verse, this whole thing is good. Verse 1. And there came one of the seven angels, which had the seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. The great whore is America, Babylon the Great. The many waters are the many nations. You can read that in verse 15. With whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. And those people in these colleges, they're drunk. They have no idea what's going on, man. Again, some of those people in there are inside men, agents and agent provocateurs to stir up commotion and riots. But some of those people are sincerely fools. They're sincerely ignorant, drunk off of the philosophies, propaganda, and media perception that America is displaying throughout the world. And who owns the media? Amalek. I'm not going to go through every fact to prove that Amalek owns every major media outlet, from Fox to CNN to BBC to MSNBC to whatever. Right? We're not going to go through that, but they're the ones who actually have the cup and pouring it and forcing the people to drink it. And when you bring this out to the masses of people, they don't get it, man. No, they really want to fight for justice. It's a genocide going on. Are you and this really, people have to pick a side now. Either you're pro Amalek or you're pro Palestinian. It used to be, are you right wing, left wing, Democratic, Republican? You like the Lakers, you like the Celtics? Are you this or are you that? And now the number one topic for discussion, it's the elephant in the room. It's in the workplace. You might overhear people talking about at the bank, the grocery store. Are you pro-Palestinian or are you pro-Israeli or Amalek? And a lot of people are ashamed to say what they want to say, man. Because they're going to get derailed, get thrown under the bus. You might lose your job, and your boss might be pro-Palestinian, man. You say you're pro-Israeli, something might happen to you. So people are wearing this on their chest as if they're Amalek or they're Ishmael. People are taking this thing serious, man. They're taking it so serious because they're so drunk. And they have no idea what's going on. Let's read on. Revelation chapter 17:3. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman, which is America, was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having, hold on, make sure this is showing. Okay, Kyle. Having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. So when the Most High said in Habakkuk chapter 2, that shameful spewing shall be of thy glory, the shameful spewing is the filth that's coming to the light. That's the America being exposed. All of their corruption, the fact that their society is out of order, the fact that they're the perpetrators of demonic works throughout the earth, that is now on the garment of America, and everybody's watching it. They used to look at America as a beautiful kingdom, right? As a rich kingdom where money grew on trees. You could come here and, capitalize on their system. You can start your own business. You don't have to worry about oppression in your own land. You could come here, you could vote. You could be an actor. You could be a doctor. You could be a lawyer. You could provide for your family. You're in the land of the free and the home of the brave. And people at one time, they lauded this place. Like we always go into, people swam here. They would take the ships here through Ellis Island and take pictures and laugh and cry when they finally landed in America. So at one time, this was the pinnacle or the apex of human life. You had the Roaring 20s. Before that, you had the Industrial Revolution. Right? You had the 1940s. After World War II, America was the global superpower in the earth. immigrants from all over the world. As they looked at this woman, let's pull this woman up. Well, let's see Revelation. Revelation whore with gold and precious stones. Let's see what they got. Right? This is what John saw. Right? This is what John saw. And everybody was getting seduced by this woman, man. We want to lay with her. We want to be in bed with her. We want power. And then her right hand is all of her sins. Her propaganda, her media, her religion, her politics, her philosophies, her ideologies, her customs, her behaviors, all of these things she's giving to the masses of people. And who got the biggest cup? You American citizens, man. You got the biggest cup of them all. You're the most drunk. If there was a spiritual sobriety test, you'll have alcohol poisoning. You'll be damn blind, man. You know, you'll be so drunk you can't see. And that's the case. You got certain nations that kind of drunk. You got people sobering up. But you American citizens, you're not sobering up no time soon. Some of you are sobering up a little bit. You know, the Most High put the spirit in you to be whistleblowers and, you know, tell what's going on behind the scenes. Nevertheless, the masses are drunk off the wine of the whore. But instead of this glory being seen, what did the Most High say in Habakkuk? Chapter 2 and 16. It says, the cup of Yahweh's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. So instead of this glory of wealth and power, now everybody's watching riots, damn $1 trillion debt. They're watching your roads collapse, your bridges collapse, sedition in your own kingdom, you not being able to defend yourself. Everybody's watching a shameful spewing on your glory, man. Right? This is what the Most High is doing to you, Babylon the Great. Let's go to Nahum, chapter 3. I want to get into the next video, right? Nahum, Nahum, the 3rd chapter. Nahum within itself is a powerful book, man. Powerful book, right? So I want Nahum 3 and verse, this whole thing is good, right? Nahum chapter 3 and verse 4. Because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, the mistress of witchcrafts, that selleth nations through her whoredoms and families through her witchcraft. So this is the well-favored harlot, a beautiful nation in the eyes of the masses of people, right? But the Lord said this woman, this well-favored harlot, she's also known as the mistress of witchcrafts. And right now, if you are pro-Palestinian or pro-Amalek, you are under a spell. Now, a lot of people are mad. You can't go out in public and say that, man. People might fight you. You can't go to the workplace. That'd be taboo. But right now, we can tell you straight up, if you voting, you got a damn Palestinian headband on like these Negroes do, man. You know, you're waving that. I saw Floyd Mayweather. He was out there damn near marching with him, man. You know, and he's drunk. And he got all this money, but he's drunk. You got celebrities. You have to stand, going outside their handlers' orders and speaking up and saying things. You got all types of madness going on. So this is nothing but witchcraft. And entire nations are being sold, right? Through the illusion of currency and fiat currency and the IMF and the Federal Reserve and democracy and the false mirage of peace that comes through accepting Christianity. All of this is a damn game, huh? To those who run this kingdom. And entire families at home, families in New York, families in UCLA. Where else are they having these riots? Columbia, right? People from wholesome households, allegedly. They are also beguiled under the witchcrafts of America. Verse 5. Behold, I am against thee, said the Lord of hosts, and I will discover thy skirts upon thy face, and I will show the nations thy nakedness, and the kingdoms thy shame. And I will cast abominable filth upon thee, and make thee vile, and will set thee as a gazing stock. Right? So Babylon the Great is now a gazing stock. They went from being the number one kingdom on the earth to a gazing stock and the masses. Right? Let's see. I also wanted to get this. Right? So you have tensions and riots going on all throughout the earth. Right? So let's play this.
Also live here on PSU's campus near this line of police and demonstrators. Joelle, what are you seeing now?
Well, protesters, as Emma said, are very much testing their luck. We saw some protesters dancing on the line. The line right here, if you can see this, Ethan, is on the ground.
And I believe this is at Portland State. So you got this going on the East Coast, and you got it going on the West Coast. They're in downtown Portland, and the police are in full riot gear, ready for somebody to slip up, man. You know?
And I just heard police say, stand back or you could be subject to arrest. They are now coming up really close to protesters. About a couple minutes ago, we saw quite a lot of distance as those.
Now, one more point, not to keep on the video, but this is a perfect opportunity for these devils to do what you call a false flag. You know, this is the perfect opportunity for a black Hebrew Israelite who's anti-Amalek to do something crazy. We're not promoting that, but we know if it was to happen, we know that how these devils move. It would be fitting that they would do it at a time of massive insurrection within their own kingdom, that they can use it as a stepping stool to further defame the ministry and stop the servants of Yahweh Bashmi Abashai from doing this work, because that's what it's all about, whether you know it or not. I don't know if anybody told you as of late, but the number one threat on the earth are not pro-Palestinian protesters. The number one threat on the earth is not Netanyahu and the army and Rafah and Hamas. The number one threat on the earth are the apostles and prophets of Yahweh Bashmi Abashai, straight up and down. Huh? So they have to set this thing up to target them because they're the ones exposing all of their lies. Their new world order, their agenda, their chess moves, you know, what they plan, what's going to happen to them. So they have to set the stage. But all of this right here is just the facade. This is the pond moving 2 spaces forward, bro. You know? So let's play this. Let me rewind it a little bit.
We saw some protesters dancing on the line. The line right here, if you can see this, Ethan, is on the ground. And I just heard police say, stand back or you could be subject to arrest. They are now coming up really close to protesters. About a couple minutes ago, we saw quite a lot of distance as those lines were maintained. And now that they're on the ground, protesters are inching ever so closer. And we are seeing police now threaten arrest with any.
They say that the protesters getting closer, and they say the police getting closer. You're going to have massive riots throughout the country. Right? And we can already, we go through the precepts on that all the time. And, you know, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashmi Abashai, we've been saying they're going to come to America. Back during the time of the pestilence and times before that, you had riots in England, Germany, Belgium, right? And brothers been saying, hey, this is going to come to America, man. Oh, no, it'll never come here. People here love their country. People here are diehard Americans. Well, hey, guess what you see going on right now, man? Right? This is what you see going on right now. And more is going to happen. And this is going to implode or explode, Salakia. And it's going to ultimately lead to Jacob's trouble. Right? And we're telling you how it's going to happen through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashmi Abashai. So if you don't repent and come back to the Most High and put that blunt down and stop eating pork, right? If you never fasted, if you don't pray, if you're not keeping the commandments, if you're not diligent, if you're lukewarm and double-minded, guess what's going to happen? You're going to be caught out there. And you're going to have to deal with it because you've had ample time to get your spirit right and put on that righteous garment. But a lot of brothers are taking this thing as if it's a joke. You're putting off from day to day, like I tell you. And you're tarrying and wallowing in madness, man. And here's the Most High exposing to you before the sun his judgments on the earth.
Ever so closer, and we are seeing police now threaten arrest with anyone who is testing that line, coming over the line. As you can see, Ethan is grabbing. There are more officers coming towards us in this moment with what appear to be batons. Tensions very much increasing out here at the South Park blocks at this moment. We're watching police now try to hold together the broken pieces of line, now forming a line to block those protesters from in.
And why they got these sticks in their hand? I don't see any shields. Now, usually they got shields in their hand, but usually that's, you know, your riot gear. Now they got the face shields on, but usually they got a big shield. Now, I could be wrong. It might be some out there with the big shield, but they're not looking to defend. They looking to attack. The way that this guy came up on the far left, man, he's looking to beat somebody ass. Salakia for the language. Hey, they looking to get down. You know, a lot of these guys that can't pay their bills, man. You know, mortgage is getting out of hand. Interest rates are too high. They can't afford a lot. Even these police, they looking to get action, man. They want to get their fix in. They picking a side too. They're not neutral. Everybody has to pick a side, man. They got families they got to feed. They don't want to be out there, man. So, hey, you can smell it in the air, man. They damn swinging a bat.
At the South Park blocks at this moment, we're watching police now try to hold together the broken pieces of line, now forming a line to block those protesters from inching closer to police and this perimeter that they've created here at the South Park block. So, as I mentioned, tensions very much increasing. Now we've seen some signs, and Ethan, if you can pan just this way, it's pretty much, as we mentioned before, a very close standoff now, just feet away between officers and protesters. And it does appear that we are seeing more officers, at least in this area, than a second ago. I'm going to toss it back to you because protesters. Yeah. Oh, here you can.
No problem. Joel, we'll take it away again. We want to make sure you're safe. So it does look like this might be a combination of Portland.
Now, this is from a few hours ago. It may have died down, but they're not going nowhere, huh?
Police in Oregon State. Sounds like we're hearing a loudspeaker.
Okay, warning that if folks cross that line, they could face arrest or criminal charges. They need to remain behind those police lines. Yeah, it looks like, Joel, near where you are, that might be Oregon State Patrol troopers that are assisting PPB in this operation.
So you can watch the rest of that on your own, right? But you see what's going on. We showed you what's going on at was that UCLA? That's at Portland State. Now, there's another one as well, right? Now, this is Columbia, right? Let's pull this up through the spirit of power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. This is at Columbia University. All right, bear with me. So this is New York police and riot gear near Columbia amid speculation of imminent raid. All right, so let's pull this up. Now, you have riots going on in New York. You have riots going on in LA. You got riots going on in Oregon and Seattle. You have riots going on all throughout the world. Now, in wake of people worried about, see that the brother Yawasop said they're protesting at the National Harbor now in Oxon Hill. Yeah, it's coming to a city near you, man. You know, at first they had the Palestinians and they have riots all throughout the country. Now they're escalating this thing. So not only did they add the Palestinian protests, now they're adding the pro-Amalek protest. right? Let's get a quick precept before I pull up the next thing. Right? Let's go to the book of 2nd Esdras, right? The classic, chapter 15 and verse 14. Because everything you see watching or witnessing is prophesied from the days of old, even from the beginning, right? So the Most High told us that these things will happen. 2nd Esdras chapter 15 and 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. So you got one people, which are who your pro Amalek. Then you have another people, which are your pro so-called Palestinians. And they're standing up and they fighting, man. You have people getting hit upside the head with billy clubs. You got people macing each other. You got people with guns, you know, and they're standing up to fight against another and swords in their hands. So this is speaking about civil war. Now, they just put that movie out there, Civil War, right? So these devils, man, and they put that other movie out there, Leave the World Behind. So that's their witchcraft, their predictive programming, getting the people's minds trained up to accept abnormal behavior. That's all the job of the movies, to condition the people, to desensitize them. So when they happen on the earth, the people are beguiled and under a spell, and they're going to move in a particular fashion. You know, so that's why they put these movies out there, to get all up in people's mind, right? But again, if you're not under the protection of the Most High, you're going to be under that spell, right? And you're going to actually think, do I pick a side? Right? Let me jump down. 2nd Esdras 15 and 16. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So you're going to have these seditions. You're going to have these riots in the state. You're going to have people storming Capitol buildings. You're going to have people clashing with the police, riot gear. And they're not going to care who the hell is the governor, who's the dean on the college campus. You know, they don't care who's on the honor roll. And they got a point they want to prove, man. And they don't care. They don't care who's in charge. And that's what the Most High said, the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Right? Now, what they're also doing, while Jake is asleep, right? Now, what is this one I had? Okay, Khan, before I get it, it says pro-Palestinian protesters block Amalekite students, others from entering campus, man. So you can see the stage being set up. You can smell it in the air. If you can't smell it or see it, and you may not have received the operations of the Lord, you know, pursuant to Sirach, the 17th chapter, man. And again, all this is going to point back to who? To the men on the highways and byways. You brothers that's pulling Revelation 2 and 9, Revelation 3 and 9, Ezekiel 17:21 on down, Exodus chapter 17:15 on down, Numbers chapter 24, and all these precepts, man, that speak against Amalek. That's going to be part of this thing. And we're going to touch on that too. That's going to be part hate speech, man. Anti-Amalek speech. So they're blocking Amalek from going into campuses, man. Look at this. You see that? Videos have circulated on social media of pro-Palestinian protesters blocking UCLA Amalekite students and others from using campus entrances and the university's library. So that's a small portion of a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. That's it on a microscopic level, right? So you got people here, man, they cutting off Amalek. You know, it reads, in one video, the protesters formed a moving barrier to block student Eli Seves, who wears a Star of David necklace, from entering campus on April 29th, as the security officer stood by. I am a UCLA student. I deserve to go here. We pay tuition. This is our school, and they're not letting me in. He said to the protesters, my class is over there. I want to use that entrance. Will you let me go in? The protesters simply tell him they're not engaging and blocked Sevis every time he attempted to go through the entrance. Man. So, hey, this thing is going to get carnal. It's already getting carnal. It's about to get physical. It's about to get extremely physical at Amalek. And again, people, in Babylon the Great, they're halted between two opinions. They have to pick a side. And once this thing get carnal, man, like I said, this is a perfect opportunity for Esau to do a covert false flag operation, right? To say a black Hebrew Israelite did something wild, man. And that's really going to, once something like that kick off, it's going to speed things up quick, man. Things going to move fast, right? And that's all prophecy. Now, what they also did, right? This is from NPR, May 2nd. Today's May 2nd, right? It's 5:01 a.m. The House passes bill aimed to combat anti-Amalek amid college unrest. So while Jake, you're worried about the rat beef. You're worried about, and they planned all of this stuff. Esau, you're going to drop this on this date. He got a phone call. You're going to drop this track on this date. You hear me, boy? Yes, mess. Right? Then he drop it. Okay, all right. We're going to have the NBA playoffs and the NFL draft and all of this rat beef and folly in the world. Going to have to happen around this time. And push it on the media heavy. Show it on all sports networks. Make it clog everybody's algorithm. So everybody's talking about it. So we can go behind the dark and pass our laws. Right? And the Lord said in Isaiah, we get this in actually Psalms 64, the classic, right? About the secret counsel of the wicked. Right? The classic. Psalms chapter 64:1. Hear my voice, O God, in my prayer. Preserve my life from fear of the enemy. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity. So you can't say we're making that up. We're conspiracy theorists, right? We're winging it. Amen. What did Yahweh Bashmi Abishai say? Through the mouth of the prophet and King David. There are actual secret counsels. David had to deal with secret counsels concerning Saul and the men of Gibeah and Benjamin who had plans and plots to kill him. But we know in the spirit that this is beyond the time of David. This is prophetic. And it's speaking about the life that we live here in Babylon the Great. And a secret council are being conducted by the elites that are on high, who have plans to establish their own new world order, to overthrow the ministry, destroy and attempt to destroy our Lord, and rule forever and ever, man. Reduce the masses of the population, through self-induced pestilence and all types of madness, man. Propaganda in the media. The Lord said they have secret councils. When you go to 1 Ezra, let's go to 1 Ezra, the 5th chapter, right? Then I want to get, lest I forget, I want to get Jeremiah 20. All right, Lord willing. So first, this 1 Ezra, chapter 5 and 73. And by their secret plots, see that? And popular persuasions and commotions, they hindered the finishing of the building all the time that King Cyrus lived. So they were hindered from the building for the space of 2 years until the reign of Darius. So their whole goal is to stop us from building the altar and the temple and them that worship therein. There is a spiritual temple being built. Now they're putting this propaganda out there for this red heifer. Amalek has to offer up the red heifer to bring about Yahweh Shai. That's nothing but a scam. There's no great red heifer that the world is waiting on to be offered up, man. you know, as if that's going to bring about the Lord. We are the third temple. And they know we're building a temple right now. Spiritually, Yahweh Shah himself is the chief cornerstone, built upon the foundation of the apostles and prophets, as it is written in Ephesians chapter 2, 18 on down. And every other stone, lively stone, pursuing to 1 Peter 2 and 4 and down, that comes into this truth, you are layers, and we are layers added to the temple. But these devils, man, they have secret plots to stop us from building. Because who dwells in the temple? Yahweh. Bashmi Awashad. So if they can stop us from building the temple, they can stop the Lord from dwelling amongst us. And that's what he have everything you see going on right now. Right? Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 20 and verse 10. It reads, "For I heard the defaming of many, fear on every side. Report, say they, and we will report it." You see that? So they were looking to catch Jeremiah in his words, man. Right? They're looking to see what you have to say. Are you going to go out there in the highways and byways and not speak against Amalek? And hold your tongue and rip out and black highlight Revelation 2 and 9, Revelation 3 and 9, Psalms 137, 1 Ezra 4 and 45. All of these precepts that go against Esau. Because you're afraid you're going to get reported, man. It reads, "All my familiars watch for my halting, saying, peradventure, he will be enticed, and we shall prevail against him. We shall take our revenge on him." So Jeremiah got word that people were watching, waiting for him to slip up, man, plotting to kill him so they can take the revenge on him. And that's what this society is about, man. So let's go back to this, right? It reads, "House passes bill aimed to combat anti-Amalek amid college unrest." See that? I'm going to read a little of this, and I'm going to actually dive into this bill, pull up the bill, and actually discuss through the Spirit what it's going into, man. These are the laws that Esau passes while Jake is rocked to sleep. So this reads, the House of Representatives, and they did that. Like I said, they went into these college campuses. They made everybody riot. They own the record labels. They're making these guys beef, right? They're putting it all on Twitter, all in the news, and they're doing it so they can pass these bills, so they can have justification when it's time to persecute the men of the Lord. So it reads, the House of Representatives passed the bill on Wednesday aimed at addressing reports of rising anti-Amalek on college campuses, where activists angered by Israel's war against Hamas have been protesting for months, and more recently set up encampments on campus ground. The Anti-Amalek Awareness Act would see the adoption of the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance's definition of anti-Amalek for the enforcement of federal anti-discrimination laws regarding education programs. So you have Webster's dictionary and their definition of that word. You have synonyms. You have other definitions on Google. So they say, hey, look, enough with all of that. It's too ambiguous, cloudy. We're going to take the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance definition, and that's going to be the latest and greatest definition for anti-Amalek. Now, we'll dive into that. We're going to actually dive into the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, man. Right? And then we're going to dive into the laws and see how this is going to affect us. That's what we read in Sirach, the 4th chapter. Beware of evil. right? Hey, there are certain prophecies that have to be fulfilled, man. Right? Quick precept. Matthew the 24th chapter. That's what I want. Right? And 10. Matthew 24 and 10. Actually, I want to start at 9. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. Because right now, if you speak against Amalek, you're hated. Right? If you speak against them, you are hated by every government. Don't you know there are actual other countries on the earth who are so pro-Israel that if you speak against them, they'll arrest you? Where is this at? I had this pulled up. Check this out. Now, this is recent. This is from today. Now, they say 7:40 p.m. So this is coming in hot. Saudi Arabia steps up arrest of those attacking Israel online. So this is going to spread, man. What the hell? Isn't Saudi Arabia the gatekeeper of Mecca? Aren't they the gatekeeper and the headquarters of Islam? So these guys, they got a deal, man. These people of Saudi Arabia, they all in Esau's back pocket, man. They took the bag. So now you would think that a so-called Muslim country is going to advocate the Palestinians and have their back. They say no. This money too good, man, that we get from America. These weapons, this money. Hey, they're drunk, man. This wine. So guess what? If you speak against our daddy Israel, man, our daddy Esau, then we'll arrest you online. Right? So, hey, this is going to come to Babylon the Great, man. You brothers making these videos going against Amalek, you know, Amalek gets cut into 1,000 pieces, man. Right? You put it, like I said, you put in Revelation 3 and 9. Give me Revelation 2 and 9. Give me Revelation 3 and 9. Right? Those are the classics. There was more, but brothers know those precepts, man. I know thy works, right? Thy tribulation, thy poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them. You know what? Let's pull it, man. Right? And we're going to pull it, man. So you so-called Saudi Arabians, hey, you're going to have to arrest us, man. And all of you Amalek, because we're not going to stop reading the scriptures because you said so, man. Why would we stop? Hold on. Man, hold on. Let's go to Exodus chapter 17 first. What did the Most High say? Right? What did Yahweh Bashmi Abishai say? This is Exodus chapter 17 and 14. And Yahweh Bashmi Abishai said unto Moses, write this for a memorial in a book and rehearse it in the ears of Joshua. For I will utterly put out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven. Why? Because they came out against us. Right? And Moses built an altar and called the name of it Jehovah Nissi. Right? Which means Yahweh's banner. Right? For he said, because Yahweh hath sworn that Yahweh will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. So hold on, the Lord has war with Amalek forever, man. So how are we going to not go against Amalek? And we're not doing it physically, and we're doing it spiritually. This is spiritual warfare. We got a breastplate on, we got a helmet, feet shod with the gospel of preparation of peace, man. We got the sword of the spirit, which is the word of God. And we're an army, man, lifting up the banner. So this is warfare, spiritual war. And the word that we're bringing out are spiritual weapons of war. Even the Apostle Paul said, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down the strongholds. So we have weapons, but they're spiritual weapons of warfare. And one of our weapons, or our main weapon, is the sword of the spirit, which is what? The word of God. That's what they're going to look at this Bible like an actual weapon, man. Ephesians 6 and 17. And take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the spirit, which is the word of the Most High. A lot of brothers are going to put their sword down like a coward, right? Or you're going to dull your blade, which means you're not going to read particular verses. Don't read that. You heard what Amalek said, right? I got a lot of brothers dulling up their sword, man. Getting a sharp sword. They don't want that long sword. I got them not reading certain verses. You got to use wisdom. Got to be circumspect. Don't read Revelation 3 and 9. Don't read Psalms 137. Don't read Exodus 17. Don't read Ezekiel chapter 7. Don't read Ezekiel 36. Don't read Ezekiel 35. Don't read Genesis 27. Don't read those verses. You know how many verses go against Esau and Amalek? You have to go into it. How many verses are about the hypocrite, the wicked, the dragon, the beast, the serpent, right? The liar, the bloody man, the young lion. How many verses are about Amalek without saying Amalek? So you can't beat her. You can't sugarcoat, man. So we're going to read Revelation 2 and 9, right? Revelation chapter, see the Spirit had me type 3. So we're going to do 3 and 9, right? Revelation chapter 3 and 9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews. So this is going to be late. This is an anti-Amalek verse. In time to come, you may not be allowed to read this publicly. You know? But then you're going to have brothers. I know what brothers are going to do, man. Brothers are going to use this verse and break it down on another level. Well, really on another level, and speaking about, in the ancient world, you had Jews, who went off and, okay, yeah, you had Jews that went off. But what about the other level? Well, it ain't no other level, brother. It's only one fold. No, hey, what is the Most High saying, man? He said, behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews. Which people say that they are Jews? Right? Who says that they are the people of God? Right? These rats, man. They have underground. I mean, man, we don't even. I mean, time would fail us to speak about every wicked thing that they do on the earth. I mean, this would be a marathon. Which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Right? Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. So, hey, this is real, man. These are some of the scriptures that are going to be labeled anti-Amalek. And I bet the last penny that brothers in Israel are not going to read this verse. I guarantee it. And they're going to say you have to use wisdom. Don't read that part of the scriptures. You got to be circumspect. There are other scriptures that you can go to. But don't read Revelation 3 and 9. Don't read Revelation 2 and 9. Don't read that verse and that verse. They're going to give a pamphlet of certain verses not to read on the highways and byways. And if you do that, the Most High is going to kill you, man. Because you have denied the Lord. And the Lord is going to deny you. You can't deny some of the Lord and then some of the Lord you kind of want to accept. No, it don't work like that, man. And you got to eat this whole roll, man. Right? Ezekiel's like you. See? Think about Ezekiel, right? This is the book of Matthew, chapter 16, right? And verse, I'm going to start at, this whole thing is good, man. Right? Right? Actually, I want, right? Let me get this real quick. In the book of Mark. Actually, I'll do Luke. Slacky. So this is Luke 9. Matthew is good, but this is more specific, right? Luke chapter 9 and 26. For whosoever shall be ashamed of me and my words. So you can't eradicate certain verses out the scriptures. It says words. It's an admonishment for you cowards out there, right? Who are going to not go. Some brothers ain't even going to go out there no more. We know it. And certain brothers are going to trim their ways on how they break these scriptures down and what they say. Now, we all use different code words and wisdom, you know, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about entire verses, right? So it reads, for whosoever shall be ashamed of me and my words, of him shall the Son of Man be ashamed when he shall come in his glory and of his fathers and of the holy angels. You see that? So the Most High is going to be ashamed of you. He's looking down at you. You're such a damn coward. Imagine the Most High and his son looking down at you. I thought he was chosen. We'll kill him when I return. He's ashamed of me and my word. We're moving on to the next, man. Right? So, hey, you gotta push this word out there boldly, man. Right? What did the apostles say? Right? This Acts chapter 4 and 15. But when they had commanded them to go aside out of the council, they conferred among themselves. So this is a secret council of the wicked Pharisees and Sadducees, right? The top men on the earth at that time among the Jews, having a secret council. What did they say? Acts 4 and 16, saying, what shall we do to these men? For that indeed a notable miracle hath been done by them, as manifest to all them that dwell in Jerusalem, and we cannot deny it. And that's what they're saying. It's a miracle that the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American man could come into this truth after an entire system set up to kill you by the age of 25. The media, the music, the food, the water, the education system, the religion, the liquor stores, the environment, this entire world is created to kill you. But yet somehow you survived of the mercy of the Most High. And you came into this truth. Now you have wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. You know your nationality, your heritage. It's a miracle. And everybody sees it. And they say, we cannot deny it. You can't deny it. You see the brothers with the fringes on. You see the caps on the highways and byways. See the one with the head dresses on, or head wraps and the dresses on. See the children in order. You see the Passover pics. You see brothers doing the work. You see the videos going up, and you can't deny it, man. So what did they say? But that it spread no further among the people. And that's what they want, man. They don't want this word to push on. Let us straightly threaten them that they speak henceforth to no man in this name. See that? And they called them and commanded them not to speak at all, nor teach in the name of Yahweh Shai. And this is coming back on the earth. The Lord said, no new thing is under the sun. You cannot teach in the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Right? But Peter and John answered and said unto them, whether it be right in the sight of the Most High to hearken unto you more than unto the Most High, judge ye. And it's a code verse that they said in verse 20. For we cannot but speak the things which we have seen and heard. And we can't help it, man. We can't but speak the things which we have seen and heard. And we can't help ourselves, man. You think we want to listen to you more than the Most High? I thought the Most High said, speaking to my people the words of prophecy. I thought the Most High said, declaring to them all the words of this life. I thought the Lord told John, thou must prophesy again before many nations and kings and tongues, paraphrasing Revelation, the 10th chapter. I thought the Lord told Ezekiel, eat this roll and speak unto the house of Israel. I thought the Lord told Jeremiah, I made thee a prophet unto many nations, man. You know, we can't but speak the things which we have seen and heard. But what are they trying to do? Where is it at again? It says the Anti-Amalek Awareness Act would see the adoption of the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance definition of anti-Amalek for the enforcement of federal anti-discrimination laws regarding education programs. The bill passed with a 320 to 91 vote. 70 Democrats and 21 Republicans voted against the measure. Now check this out, and I'm gonna get the actual see where I'm at with time. We get the actual article or documentation, right? But it reads, the international group defines anti-Amalek as a certain perception of Jews which may be expressed as hatred towards Jews. Now think about the ministry. A certain perception of Jews which may be expressed as hatred toward Jews. What does Romans 9:13 say? As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. So you read that verse, they'll say, hold on now. Police will roll up on you. You getting on Amalek to go tell the police. Right? And they'll ask you, what verse did you read? What did you say? He said that you committed anti-Amalek on them. What did you say? And now you're gonna have to say what you gotta say, man. You know? And now the Lord said, meditate not in your heart what you're gonna say, because it's going to be given to you from the Father. But you're gonna have to say what you had to say, man. And if you're part of the elect, you're not going to shun away from what you said. Hey, if Romans 9:13 said what it said, it's Romans 9:13. Right? You can only hide for so long, man. So a lot of these verses, they're going to look at as hatred towards Amalek. How many verses are we going to hatred, man? A lot, man. Malachi chapter 1:3-4, Romans chapter 9-13, Sirach chapter 27-22 on down, Psalms chapter 97-10, Psalms 5-5, Proverbs 8-13, and many other verses, man. Go all deep and down into hatred towards evil, wickedness, pride, arrogancy, sinners, Esau, the nations. And then you read 2 Ezra 6:54 on down. Hey, that's big time hatred, man. Now you're going to have, I'm going to tell you what brothers are going to do too. Brothers are going to say, we don't hate, the Most High hates. I don't hate you, God hates you. Right? That's what you're going to have out there too. Right? But let's read on. And gives but you're commanded to hate. You know, you have to hate evil, man. Arrogancy, the evil way. That's Proverbs 8-13. Psalms 97-10 says what? Right? See, the problem with Israel is they don't hate. That's their problem. Right? Psalms 97-10. And that's why you lukewarm, because you don't hate. That's why you're not bold, because you don't hate. You didn't completely pick a side, man. I don't hate, kind of think, yeah, right. And that's the problem with the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American man. You never take it far enough. You have to there's two absolutes. You either love or you hate. There's no in between. You either love righteousness or you don't. You're either hot or you're cold. Somebody's either your enemy or they're not. Now, if you love the Most High, everybody know 1 John 5-3, right? 1 John 2-6, John 15:10, John 14:15, all these precepts about love. Leviticus 19:17, Mark 12:29, no doubt. It says, ye that love the Lord hate evil. He preserveth the soul of his saints. He delivereth them out of the hand of the wicked. So we do hate evil because we love the Lord, right? We hate everything that Amalek stands for, man. All of his murder, his atrocities, his lies, his deception. We hate all of his evil, right? And I'm not going to bite my tongue because they put a law out there saying that you can't say certain things, man. There's a lot of things I want to say right now, but I'm gonna use mild language, man. But the hell with they laws, man. You know, and what they got to say. We in this thing. We in too deep now. Ain't nowhere to go. Hope brothers ain't getting nervous. You know, and you in too deep, huh? You're in this thing now. It ain't nowhere to go. Yeah, brother, what did I get myself involved with? God, how did I get into this thing now? This thing's getting real. Yeah, it's getting real, man. And the Lord said these men love not their lives. There are certain men, they love not their lives unto death. And the Lord said in John, right? This is not a game, right? This is John chapter 16 and 1. These things have I spoken unto you, that ye should not be offended. So you can't be offended at this. The Lord is warning you. The Lord said in Matthew 11 and 6 on down, and blessed is he whosoever shall not be offended in me. So he's warning you that things are going to happen, but you can't be offended. You have to trust in the Most High. You have to understand that this truth is all that we have. That Yahweh Basham Shah is all that we have. Hey, David said it, I'm going to go back to that. But in Psalms 73, right, David said through the Spirit, Psalm 73 and 25, whom have I in heaven but thee? And there is none upon earth that I desire beside thee. So that's all we have, man. Right? We don't have nothing else. We don't have a job, right? We don't have a career. We don't have wealth. We don't have money, man. Right? We don't have women and cars and bank accounts with hundreds of thousands of dollars, man. Right? We don't have investment in, stocks and bonds. All we have is Yahweh Basham Yahushua, right? And if we didn't, we would have nothing, right? If we didn't, we would have nothing, right? So let's go back to this. John 16 and 1, right? Actually, let me get this real quick. Psalms 27 and 10. And I want to get into that bill that they passed. It reads, I'm going to start at 27 and 9. Hide not thy face far from me. Put not thy servant away in anger. Thou hast been my help. Leave me not, neither forsake me, O God of my salvation. And Yahweh Basham Shai has been our help, man. Every brother, even sister on his live, you can testify 7 times how many times Yahweh Basham Shai has been your help. That's all we have, man. It reads, when my father and my mother forsake me, then the Lord will take me up. Everybody's going to leave you, man. Your family, they're not going to treat you the same. Your mother, your father, they may forsake you. Your cousins, your brothers, your worldly friends. But so what? Because who's going to adopt you and take you up? The Lord will take me up. That's that adoption. And you belong to the Most High. He'll never leave you, man. So why would you leave him? So let's go back to this. In John 16 and 1. These things have I spoken unto you, that ye should not be offended. They shall put you out of the synagogues. Yea, the time cometh that whosoever killeth you will think that he doeth God's service. So men are going to kill us. But in their mind, they're going to think that they're doing the right thing. They're going to think they're doing God's service. Right? Some people are going to think that they're doing this because it's the righteous thing to do. America's a God-fearing nation, and we have to get rid of black hatred and black identity extremists and black supremacists that promote hate and violence. We have to do this in the name of God. And they're thinking in their whole mind about white Jesus, and Christianity and saving America. And certain people, they're just doing it out of pure lust. They're going to think they're doing God's service. And these things will they do unto you because they have not known the Father nor me. But these things have I told you, that when the time shall come, ye may remember that I told you of them. And these things I said not unto you at the beginning, because I was with you. See, the Lord isn't physically with us. He's with us in the spirit. So he's telling us this now. when this time comes of massive persecution, being delivered up and Jacob's trouble and the famine of the word, why did he tell you this? That ye may remember that I told you of them, right? So you can understand what you're involved in. A lot of brothers are going to ask why. Well, the Lord told you why, right? So it reads the internet, going back to this article, the international group defines anti-Amalek as a certain perception of Jews, which may be expressed as hatred towards Jews, and gives examples of of the definition's application, which includes, quote unquote, accusing Jews as a people of being responsible for real or imagined wrongdoing committed by a single Amalekite person or group. That's pretty specific. And they are responsible, man. So now you can't talk about the elites, the Illuminati, Amalek, who owns his world. You can't talk about the Rothschilds and banking families, and that they own every major media corporation and outlet in the music industry, and it's used to promote witchcraft and violence amongst a particular ethnic group of people. You can't say that no more. You can't bring them charges up on them. You have to say it's a coincidence, right? That all of the music promotes whoredom, sex, and murder and violence. And it's just a coincidence that they're all owned by Amalekite families. That's strange. That's what they want the masses of the sheeple to put out there, man. So what else are they saying? It says, and making dehumanizing, demonizing, or stereotypical allegations, see that, about Jews as such, or the power of Jews as collective. So you can't say nothing, right? You can't say nothing. You can't go to Psalms 83, right? Hey, damn, evidently we can't read Psalm 64 again, man. Otherwise, that's the new definition, or violates the new definition of their anti-Amalek. This is what they're saying. Now, I want to actually dive a little bit deeper into this Anti-Amalek Awareness Act. Now, this is the actual law, right? So I want to get the law, and I want to dive into the actual definition. I'm not going to read this whole thing. Now, it says HR 6090, an act. It reads, to provide for the consideration of a definition of anti-Amalek, right? We're only saying that for algorithm's sake, set forth by the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance for the enforcement of federal anti-discrimination laws concerning education programs or activities for other purposes. This act may be cited as the Anti-Amalek Awareness Act of 2023. Now, I'm not going to read this whole thing. There's a part that I wanted, right? So, this whole thing is good, man. It is a policy of the United States to enforce such title against prohibited forms of discrimination rooted in anti-Amalek as vigorously as against all other forms of discrimination prohibited by such title, right? They want to improve safety, bring awareness, reverse normalization of anti-Amalek, right? They're saying it's on a rise amongst students K through 12, college, and universities. I want to jump down, right? this whole thing is good, right? Brothers can go back and read this whole thing, but for sake of time, I'm not going to read the whole thing. There's a part I want to get in this. Oh, here it is. So here's section 4 of the bill that was passed, right? This is section 4. Now it says, for purposes of this act, the term definition of anti-Amalek, right? It says what? Means the definition of anti-Amalek adopted by the IHRA, of which the U.S. is a member, See that? Which definition has been adopted by the Department of State and what includes contemporary examples of anti-Amalek identified by the IHRA definition. So that's the part I want to get on. Their definition includes contemporary examples of anti-Amalek. Now, what does contemporary mean? Right? Con meaning with, temp meaning time. So it's really modern time definitions. Right? It's like you contempt, they spell it wrong. Right? Contemporary. Living or occurring at the same time. Right? You have contemporaries. People who lived, Prince, Michael Jackson, they were artists, they were contemporaries. You understand? Obama, Biden, they're contemporaries. The Apostle Peter, the Apostle Paul, they were contemporaries. Right? You have contemporary literature, music, and you have classical literature and classical music. So contemporary anti-Amalek is going into modern day terminology and vernacular that speaks against them. Now, I actually want to get their definition because what did they say? I want to jump back to this real quick. Contemporary examples of anti-Amalek identified by the IHRA. Now, let's actually pull that up. Let's find out what it means when they say contemporary examples. All right, let me jump down. So you got to kind of read this. You go back, you can read this whole thing. You can dive deep into it if you want to. But there's a particular point I want to get. Right? I want to get that contemporary definition. So they want you to go through all of this. All right, where is it? Let's see. Bear with me. I'm going to have to bear with me. Right? Let me go through this article because I went through it prior. Like I said, I'm not going to have to just bear with me. I'm not going to read this whole thing. But I want to get this definition. Hold on now. Bear with me. I have it on my phone. If I can't find it on here. It may be. Oh, here it is. Salakia. I was on the wrong thing. So here's the actual International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance. Here's the IHRA. So here's their definition. And I want to go to where it says contemporary. All right. They have this and they have the contemporary examples. So contemporary examples of anti-Amalek in public life, the media, schools, the workplace, and in the religious sphere could take into account the overall context, include, but are not limited to. So let's see. Calling for or aiding or justifying the killing or harming of Jews in the name of a what? Radical ideology or an extremist view of religion. Now, hold on now. What are they really getting at? See how these devils put all of this stuff in all these damn words? You got to scroll, you got to find it in Article 9 of Section 3 and all to find the fact that they're coming against the ministry. Calling for, and we're calling for it, man. We're calling for Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai to fulfill his word and the prophecies and the judgments. And the Lord said he's going to have war with Amalek from generation to generation. So they're saying that because what they say about the ministry, that the so-called Black Hebrew Israelites, we are a radical ideology, or we are an extremist cult or group or religion. So you see how these devils are crafty. So now you understand if you out there pushing for the destruction of Amalek and bringing out these judgments, you have labeled yourself a public enemy, and you have violated federal law, and you are now subject to punishment according to federal laws and statutes and ordinances. You know, and that's why we always pull up on the Southern Poverty Law Center, right? Pull that back up real quick, right? What do they label the Hebrew Israelites, right? Let's pull this up. This is Southern Poverty. All right, let's see. Hate watch. Let's see. Hate issues. All this hate. All this hypocrisy, man. Esau's a hypocrite. Let me see. Hate watch. Actually, let's go to what we do. Let's see. Okay, see that? Fighting hate. We monitor hate and anti-government extremist groups throughout the United States and expose, hold on, let's read this. Here's what they do. And expose their activities to the public, the media, and policymakers. Let's go to Daniel chapter 8, right? And I'm going to get back in that. Let's go to Daniel 8 chapter. This is Daniel chapter 8 and 25. And through his policy. So they have government agencies and other departments who give intel about the Hebrew Israelites to these elites that they can make laws to stop us from putting the word out there, right? Daniel 8 and 25. And through his policy, like his bills, his anti-Amalek bill, his contemporary definitions, and through his policy also, he shall cause crafts to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand, right? And it's speaking about his destruction. But the point is, he has policies, and he's going to cause this to prosper in his hand. Now, what is a policy, right? I'm going to go back to this, but let's pull up a policy. Right, here's the definition. It reads, a course or principle of action adopted or proposed by a government, party, business, or individual. Plans, strategy, blueprint, proposed action, a scheme. See that? So a system. So here's the different definitions, man. Esau has policies, and he's going to use these policies to enforce his agenda. Let's go to the book of Wisdom of Solomon, right? Let's get another quick precept. And I want to actually go back to that definition, right? Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2 and verse, we'll start at 11. Here's the mentality of Esau. When you read Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2, the Most High gives you the in-depth breakdown of how this devil processes spiritual things and judgment, right? And how he oppresses the earth and justifies it. So this is Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2 and 11. Let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth. So they said, hey, in order for us to conquer the earth, we have to enforce laws. That's going to be our strength. We can't beat these dark nations one-on-one. You're too strong. You're too powerful. We know it says the elder shall serve the younger. One people shall be stronger than the other people. We know that. So we can't beat them toe-to-toe. So we have to enforce laws and policies to have them be at our advantage. And that's how we're going to take them down. So to tell you what their strength is, the laws of justice, right? Let's go to Psalms chapter 94, right? The classic, and verse 20, right? Psalms chapter 94 and 20. It reads, shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law. So they frame all their laws by mischief, right? So let's go back to this. So their job of the SPLC, ADL, all these groups is to, for lack of better terms, overthrow the ministry, what they call the Black Hebrew Israelites, right? And they don't care what camp you're in, man. You can say all day that we're not affiliated with these Hebrew Israelites, we're not associated with that camp, and these damn demons don't give a damn about that talk, man. Right? They're not. They don't care about that. Last time I checked, when you go through the Southern Poverty Law Center, all major congregations are under the same group, man. They don't have this count. Okay, well, you're not that bad, and okay, that one, well, you kind of no. If you on that list, and you know what the list I'm talking about, we on there, Sakari's on there, IUIC's on there, ISUPK's on there. I believe HOI is on there. I believe SOT. There's a few congregations on there. On the map, you can look it up on your own, but we're all in the same category. And I know certain brothers hate it, man, because you want to be so different. But you're still, in the eyes of Esau, a nigger, a black hating Jew who's like I tell you in addition to Esther chapter 13 and 3, you're a malicious people, man. You know? And so that the uniting of their kingdoms can never go forward. So they're going to label us all the same, huh? Rather you got an ancient Hebrew name or you got a modern Hebrew name. Don't matter. Right? Now you can get mad about it, but that's the reality of the matter. So they monitor hate and anti-government extremist groups throughout the United States and expose their activities to the public, the media, and policymakers. Right? So here's their, again, definition, right? Actually, let's go back to this contemporary. Right, here's, let me read this again. Contemporary examples of anti-Amalek in public life, the media, schools, the workplace, Salakia, right? And the religious sphere could lead, Salakia, could, taking into account the overall context, include, but are not limited to, calling for, aiding, or justifying the killing or harming of Jews in the name of a radical ideology or an extremist view of religion. So there are certain verses that, promote that. Zechariah chapter 9, 12 through 14, Psalms chapter 137, 7 on down, Ezekiel chapter 39, 8 on down, we're going to rob them. Zechariah chapter 12 and 6, Zechariah chapter 14, 1 on down, we're going to rifle them and take the woman captive, right? All of these precepts speak about us. The Most High justifies us, destroying them. Psalms chapter 149, 5 on down, it says, dishonor have all his saints. You know, all of these precepts justify. So if you pull them precepts that I named, and there are hundreds more, in the eyes of Esau, you have violated federal law. Right? What else did they have? Making mendacious. Right now, I haven't seen that word. Let's pull this word mendacious, because they throw these words out there that nobody knows. Mendacious. Not telling the truth, lying. So you got a big word to be a hypocrite, man. What a hypocrite. Way to use a big word, Esau, just for it to expose you, man. Damn mendacious. Let's go back to this. Make you labor just to call them a hypocrite. Making mendacious. Dehumanizing. Demonizing. Stereotypical allegations about Jews as such, or the power of Jews as collective, such as, especially, but not exclusively, the myth about a world Amalek. Look at this stuff. These devils be watching the videos, man. A myth. You can't speak about a myth about an Amalek conspiracy or Amalek controlling the media, economy, government, or other social institutions. So this is madness, man. They're definitely watching the videos. They're watching the breakdowns. You know, they're watching the lives. What else can't you do? Accusing Jews as a people of being responsible for real or imagined wrongdoing committed by a single Amalekite person or group, or even acts committed by non-Jews. Denying the fact, scope, mechanisms like gas chambers, or intentionality, right? Intentionality, right? Of the genocide of the Amalek people at the hands of National Socialist German Nazis and its supporters and accomplices during World War II. So you can't deny the Holocaust, right? You can't say that it wasn't 6 million of them. You can't say it wasn't that many in Europe at the time. You can't pull up the census and the artifacts and the paperwork and documentation that shows that there were not 6 million Amalekites at the time in Eastern Europe. You can't prove that. You can't go through that. Right? You have to say it was 6 million and they suffered terribly in Auschwitz and Birkenau, and it was a great deal for Anne Frank, and so sad. That's what they want you to say. If you don't follow that narrative, you're anti-Amalek and you're going to be caught out there. What else do they not want you to say? Accusing the Jews as a people or Israel as a state of inventing or exaggerating the Holocaust. So this is madness. You can't say nothing against Amalek. That's the whole deal. When you out there on the highways and byways, you're not going to be able to say nothing. Look at all this stuff, man. We're going to read it all. Because the Lord said, beware of evil. Accusing Amalekite citizens of being more loyal to Israel or to the alleged priorities of Jews worldwide than to the interests of their own nations. Well, that's hypocrisy, because I thought being a Jew was part of a nationality. Deny the Amalekite people their right to self-determination by claiming that the existence of the state of Israel is a racist endeavor. So you can't go to the British mandate and say, well, in the 1940s, I believe 1948, 49, the United Nations gave them the land of Israel. You can't pull that. You can't say that Gamal Abdel Nasser said that the Jews left black and came back white. You can't pull all of that out. If you say anything like that, right, you're violating federal law. What else can't you do? Applying double standards by requiring of it a behavior not expected or demanded of any other democratic notion. Check this out. Using the symbols and images associated with classic anti-Amalek, like claiming of Jews killing Yahushai or a blood libel to characterize Israel or Israelis. So you can't read certain verses, right? There are certain verses in the Bible that you just can't read, because there are verses that speak about the Jews that killed Yahushua, even though we know that we're the Jews, but they're using it as a way where you can't read the scriptures, right? Let's go to Matthew. So now you see the craftiness of these devils, man. You see the craftiness of these devils, right? This is Matthew chapter 27 and verse 22. So you can't read this and say that the Jews killed Christ, right? Matthew 27 and 22. Pilate said unto them, what shall I do then with Yahushua? I'll read it as it is written. With Jesus, who is called Christ. They all said to him, let him be crucified. And the governor said, why? What evil hath he done? But they cried out the more, saying, let him be crucified. When Pilate saw that he could prevail nothing, but that rather a tumult was made, he took water and washed his hands before the multitude, saying, I am innocent of the blood of this just person, see ye to it. Then answered all the people and said, his blood be on us and on our children. So you can't read that. right? You can't say, well, didn't y'all deliver up Christ? That's anti-Amalek. If you read that verse in the Bible, you have violated federal law. Right? Let's go to John, the 19th chapter. So this thing is getting real, man. They're essentially taking away the scriptures. You know, they're taking away the scriptures. Because even if you say that we're the Jews, that's anti-Amalek. If you go to Deuteronomy 28:68, you know, particular prophecies, Revelation, the first chapter, what vivid description of Yahushua, evident. If you go through that, that's anti-Amalek. So eventually, you just can't read this Bible, man. You know? And it's what they're going to call this apocrypha. They're going to call this affiliated literature or propaganda or what's another word they use? Paraphernalia, right? Hate speech, paraphernalia, propaganda, and its associated literature. They're going to have all of that stuff, man. Right? Let's see another verse you're not going to be allowed to read. Right? This is John chapter, it's like 19. And I want 15. Right? John 19 and 15. But they cried out, away with him, crucify him. Pilate said unto them, shall I crucify your king? The chief priest answered, we have no king but Caesar. So these are verses in the Holy Bible that are now being labeled as anti-Amalek. Right? So, you know, this is what the world is coming to, right? So let's go back to this. What else did they have? So it says you can't use symbols or images. So if you got them camp signs out there, like we got a camp sign that with Amalek, and it says we are not the Jews, that's going off. You know, in their eyes, if you got that caption of Gamal Abdel Nasser, who was the late president of Egypt in I believe the 50s, and his quote about there will never be peace in the Middle East because the Jews left black and came back white. If you got that, that's another thing. All your camp signs are going to be propaganda and hate speech literature and paraphernalia. Now you can't have that out there because it's anti-Amalek. It says drawing comparisons of contemporary Israeli policy to that of the Nazis. And this last one is madness. Holding Jews collectively responsible for the actions of the state of Israel. Well, who else is responsible? Right? Let's see. Anti-Amalek acts are criminal when they are so defined by law. For example, denial of Holocaust or distribution of anti-Semitic materials. You see that? So that's what they're going to call this. They're going to call this Bible, and it's apocrypha. You might have a Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary, right? You might have, you know, other books. But they're going to call these things anti-Semitic materials, right? And here we said it. They're going to call them anti-Semitic materials, right? Anti-Amalekite materials. Like I said, even in Saudi Arabia, they're saying if you speak against them online, we'll knock on your door. We'll knock on your door. And we're going to kick your damn door down. Because you better not speak against our daddy banks, man. Money banks, money bag. Right? So they cracking down on this thing, man. Even in other countries, they're cracking down on all of this madness. Right? Hold on, let me get down. It's like I wanted to jump down. All right, I'm not going to read this whole thing. You can kind of go back on your own. Right? But they'll arrest you, man. Right? In Saudi Arabia, and it's going to spread to other allies of Amalek. Right? They're going to arrest you if you speak against them. if you say that you're a real Jew, if you're an Israelite, that's going to be anti-Semitic, you or anti-Amalek, you calling yourself a Jew. Because if you call yourself a Jew, you're saying that they're not the Jew. And if you say that they're not the Jew, it's a federal crime. All right. Criminal acts are anti-Semitic or anti-Amalek when the target of attacks, whether they are people or property, such as buildings, schools, places of worship, and cemeteries, are selected because they are or are perceived to be Amalekite or linked to Amalek, right? So this thing is getting real, man. This thing is getting real, and eventually it's going to lead to the famine of the word, right? But with that, we're going to close up, giving, of course, our honor and glory to Yahweh. Ba'ashima Mashiach Malak Yahushai. Jacob's trouble, all hell is going to break loose, the famine of the word, and this thing is about to go down. Most I willing, you are edified. Kwam Yashalom. Shalom.